Christy. This is the new biopic starring Sydney Sweeney. This movie I had heard was coming out, and I was a little bit interested in it because, of course, Sydney Sweeney was talking about getting Oscar buzz. But I also wasn't majorly interested in it because by the time I heard about this movie, The Smashing Machine had come out and been a big, disaster box office bomb. And what's crazy is this movie did even worse. Now, I'm not saying these movies are the exact same movie, but they are very similar movies. They're about a similar sport. They're kind of a chance for these actors to do different things than they normally do. They're both playing real people, and they both bombed horrifically. So, very similar movies that came out. Very odd, but I like this movie. I actually debate on whether I like this more than the Smashing Machine. I think no on that. I think the Smashing Machine. I think the more that movie sat with me, the more I've actually liked it. In fact, in my review, it sounds like I don't love it, but I'm not quite at loving it yet. But I feel like I could get to that point because the Smashing Machine has stuck with me quite a bit. Shockingly, I think the movie has a lot in it that surprised me. Where this movie, I guess, didn't really surprise me. It's a little more of your standard biopic of this girl, Christy, who becomes a boxer, rises to the top, and then has a downfall, an abusive partner. We've seen kind of biopics like this. The one I kept thinking of watching this movie was of, with the Whitney Houston one, very similar story, right? She dated an abusive partner, and that was a whole thing. So, I'm not criticizing it too much for that, right? I don't want to be like that, but there is elements of, there is a little of that familiarity there. But it didn't mean it surprised me a lot less, unfortunately. I do think that this movie had a really powerful ending, and I think it's really important that these LGBTQ athletes or people who were famous get exposed for parts of them you didn't know, because I know a lot of people who still don't understand that Whitney Houston liked women, and because she had to hide that a lot of her life. And I think it's important to show that side of history, as our history as queer people is constantly trying to be erased by people. And, so I would recommend this movie. It's a solid movie. Sydney Sweeney is good. She's not great, she's not as good as The Rock was in The Smashing Machine, but she is really good in this movie. And I think it had a lot of stuff in it. I do think, man, the most alive this movie felt were in some of the boxing scenes. And what made me enjoy this movie a little more than The Smashing Machine on some parts was, the fact that we actually got to see the sport. The Smashing Machine, we really didn't get to see a lot of that. I get that wasn't the point of the movie, but, I feel like we needed a little bit more of that. Where here we got that, and it worked, and I liked it. So, let me know your thoughts. Share, and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching.